Hello! Today we are here to discuss Life of the Amazonia.
That's right.
So this is a game that's the follow-up to, well, it's from the same company anyway as Wild Serengeti.
Which is awesome.
Which is, yeah, it's another one that had a lot of really awesome animal pieces. So whenever this came up on Kickstarter, because I was a fan of the pieces from that one, I went ahead and backed this one. Plus this one had bag building, which is another mechanic that we really enjoy. Before we get into it any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell down there, because you're an animal lover just like us, and we got lots of games that have animals in them and games that don't have animals in them. So,
and we like to act like animals. So.
Yeah. All right, you're kind of growing a beard.
I'm trying,
like you're bestial now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Meow.
I think it's a full moon out there tonight. All right, so Rob, what can you tell us about this game?
All right, so Life of the Amazonia is a 2023 release. It plays 1 to 4 people, plays in 60 to 150 minutes. Our game went quite a bit longer. Ages 14 and up, designed by Jamie Bloom, art by Sophia King, not the King that Randy likes, so it's a different King. Published by Bad Comet. On Bad Comet's site now, we got a couple different price points. It's not available for retail yet, but it looks like it's going to go for around $73. But you can buy the upgraded components. I added them all together, which is what we got on the video. That's going to add up to $84. So if you get everything, it's $157.
You said we don't have everything. You said there was an upgraded waterfall.
Yeah, but it looked like it was part of the wooden components. So I would look to see if you were supposed to get it.
Okay.
So everything looks like $157, but it is through BackerKit. So when you go on their website, there's a BackerKit link to go buy everything on the website. Now, there is a retail version, which is all cardboard, on Geek Market for $65.
All right. So let's talk about what you get in the box. Now, obviously, this is the deluxe, so we've got the wooden bits. Honestly, I will tell you, I would not buy the retail of this, flat out. The cardboard quality in this is very flimsy. And
so when you punched it out,
it's not just that. It's you got to assemble these cases from it.
Right.
These work okay, but the cardboard's probably about half what you typically see as far as thickness. But the waterfall is where it's really problematic. The waterfall is kind of a score tracker for 3 different tracks on it, which is a cool concept. Problem is, you have to disassemble it every time to put it back in the box.
Because it doesn't fit assembled.
It's taller than the box is. And because it is such flimsy cardboard, it's going to not hold up at all. And then these boats, this one had the same problem with the cardboard constructions that Merchant's Cove and the company Final Frontier games had with a lot of their games, where when you folded it, it just peeled.
Mm-hmm.
It's very flimsy as far as the cardboard goes, and to have to build things and take them apart and build them again, it's not going to hold up.
Right.
So if I am supposed to have a wooden waterfall, I'm definitely going to look into that. But even then, you still aren't going to get it back in the box.
Right. No, you'll still have to disassemble it, but I would assume the wooden would be a lot more durable.
But, apart from the cardboard problems, the wooden bits are amazing.
They're very nice.
But you wouldn't get these in the retail. So
Again, so $84 for the upgrade.
Yeah, I would definitely go for the deluxe. These really feel cool when you pull them out of the bag. We've got the Quacks of Quedlinburg, and we got the Geek Up bits, which are plastic. I like these better.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
These feel a lot better in your hand when you pull them out. The cards quality, it has a linen finish. You've got the smaller size cards, and then you've got kind of tarot size cards for the ones that are where the animals set on. The bags are kind of typical what you would get from a draw bag. Nothing special there.
And the terrain is
it's that thin cardboard.
Yeah, it's not very thick at all.
But yeah, I mean the wood bits are amazing.
They really are,
and that's what really sells it. Given it's kind of a dichotomy on scoring here, if I was just scoring based on the wood bits, I'd give it a really high score. But given all the cardboard components and the fact that I don't think it's going to have durability, I'm probably going to give it a 7.5, because I think I would probably give it like a 9 to 10 on the wooden bits.
Right.
So what do you think?
Well, I'm the same way, but since you do have the wooden bits, I can confidently say that it's at least a 9. If you got the retail version, I didn't see the other cardboard bits. I'm assuming that they have the same thickness as that as well, if not worse. So, but I can't rate it on that because I didn't see it, and that's not the copy we're playing with.
Yeah.
I mean, we're playing with the upgraded version, so I'm confident to say I would give it a 9 if the cardboard of the terrain was a little bit thicker. So because it's not, I can't get anything higher than an 8.
All right, Alex, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you, 8. I do kind of want to see what the original was like, just to see, like, because most people are probably going to get the retail run, right? Like,
yeah, that's.
I mean, yeah. Who knows? I mean, you never know because when you talk about games at this level, a lot of people buy the deluxe versions, and a lot of people buy the retail version too. So, but I think that I think you can get a good idea just by seeing the quality of the terrain pieces.
Right.
So,
I'm going to recommend anyone who looks into this look at getting the upgraded bits. And they do sell separately. They're in a bag separately from the rest. So
I would be I'd be highly suspect if someone hasn't already kind of created some inserts that have a little bit higher quality than what's in the box. So whether it's 3D printed or someone like wood etched it or something like Broken Token or something like that.
Now these do have like covers that slide into them, but again, they're not going to hold up very long, I don't think. But these actually work pretty nicely. It's just,
that's nice.
Yeah, it's the boats and the waterfalls are really.
But I mean, but the boats and the waterfall too. I mean, I'm sure like Broken Token or Meeple Source or somebody will do a really nice wooden insert.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the theme. So the theme of this obviously is life in the Amazon. You've got animals that you're populating your jungle region. You've got marshes and you've got water, river areas, and the only thing, the marshes look like desert land.
They really, I didn't know it was a marsh until Randy.
Yeah, we saw the card.
Rulebook the card that said it was marsh. So it looks like desert to us.
Yeah, but it is supposed to be marsh because it didn't make a lot of sense why there was desert.
I don't think there's a
leaf frogs in the desert. Like what? So, but the pictures of the animals are beautiful.
They really are.
They stand out really nicely on the cards. All of the bonus cards have pictures that are unique for each card. I mean, there's just a lot of imagery in this.
Well, even the scoring mechanics thematically make sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, the caimans have to be around plant life in the river. So that would make sense. And, each animal scores a little bit uniquely, which we'll talk a little bit more detail in gameplay, but thematically it all makes sense. So I think this game just really excels in theme.
Do you know what exactly the red things were that we were using to get animals?
They're like gourds, they look like.
Yeah, they look like gourds or, some sort.
Red pumpkins. I don't know. I don't know if it's like some kind of fruit that's indigenous to the Amazon
area.
But you got water tokens, you got
leaf.
And leaves. And
then I don't know where they grow gold. But, there's a lot of gold in it.
It's the legendary city of gold down there?
Maybe.
El Dorado.
Maybe.
It's in the Amazon now, we know. I think as you're building it, you're building a beautiful jungle.
Yeah, the table presence is great. It's, again, especially with these wooden components, it's just really cool.
Yeah.
It's that same presence that Wild has got, because I really thought Wild looked really good on the table too.
Yeah, because you're arranging to take pictures in that one, which was really cool. But I like the concept of this game better, but we'll get into that when we get to gameplay more. I think from a thematic standpoint, this is where it shines, and I'm going to give this a 9.
Oh yeah, I'm a 9.5 just because, again, mechanics fit the theme super well. It's not terribly hard to learn. So I just really liked it. It just felt good playing it. So I'm a 9.5.
What do you think, Alex?
You know what? I'm going to give it a 10. I don't really see much wrong with it, honestly. And I love those pieces that you have for each of the animals.
Yeah.
They're really cool.
They're really cool.
And everything. Stuff like that.
Go Giant Otters. That won me the game.
Yeah. And each of the animals can be representing, there's 4 different animals that they represent, A, B, C, and D, and you flip them and they get different abilities for scoring, which I thought was really cool. You can play 4 different sets, or you can mix and match. And infinite, well, not infinite, but there's...
And we didn't play with unique animals either, so there's even more variety there.
So, that's kind of like a variable player power to start the game with, where each person gets one animal that only they can play. So that's a neat way, neat concept too. Theme is definitely where it shines.
I agree.
Let's move on to the rulebook. So the rulebook has a large, nice matching the cover of the
beautiful
box.
picture.
28-page rule book.
Now,
yeah, they have a nice cover of all the pieces, components, and they got pictures by it, which is what I like to see.
Yep.
They have the assembly instructions for all of the different...
Which is great, because I can't tell you how many board games I get that have no assembly instructions whatsoever, or it's after the fact and I have to go online to look it up.
Yeah. But they don't really show how to disassemble or what you're supposed to do with it once you get it assembled. That's the problem. They got a nice picture showing how it looks on the table once you've set it up for a certain player count. In this case, it's a 2-player game. But they've got, how many pieces you put out for each player count. You've got your starting bag is very easy to find how you set up the bag.
Yeah.
So it's laid out nicely. There's a lot of text to it, though.
Pretty small font.
Yeah, the font is kind of small.
There's a lot of pictures in it.
Yeah, but the pictures are helpful and the examples are helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a cheat sheet, a card, which has pretty much everything you need. It's got all the different actions you can take and the iconography that you're most commonly going to see. It does have in the book what the cards, they have an appendix with all the cards.
And I
on
agree
it.
with Miranda. I think if they did player aids for that as well, at least 1 or 2, that'd be nice, because this is a table hog. And so with the animal cards as far away from Miranda, it was hard for her to see them.
Yeah.
So if there was just another player aid with all that on there, I think that'd have been pretty nice.
Yeah. So the animals are in here. They've got B, C, and D clearly delineated. For some reason, they chose to put A in it, but they put A in the scoring example that they do
in the main part.
So it's not separated like all the others. That just didn't make a lot of sense why they would arrange it that way. But apart from that, they've got all the variant modes at the back where you can play, different ways: solo play, lightning mode, and then all of the different. They have some looks like preset. Maybe
like
structures,
scenarios.
Scenario type things.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I mean that's what they did with Wild. I mean, there's each the 2 expansions that it came with had different scenarios.
And then of course the unique animals.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different ways to play the game, and there's an expansion for it, an aquatic expansion that I haven't opened yet. But yeah, there's a lot to this game, so you're not going to get tired of this game.
And by the way, in that $84 that I came up with, that did include the aquatic expansion in it as well.
Oh, okay, great. So I think the rulebook does a fine job teaching the game.
Yeah.
It's a little lengthy of a read. The gameplay, it makes it sound more complex than it was. I know, Alex, you were going to bail out at one point because you thought it sounded too much, and then once we started playing it
it
clicked.
was just the rulebook was kind of long, and I don't usually pay attention during that. So it was a lot more simple than it sounded, but whenever you just kept reading on and on, it did sound.
Yeah,
but that's just
once we got into it, it picked up real quick.
Yeah,
it's very easy to.
So I'll probably go ahead and give the rulebook an 8. I think it does a pretty good job. I just think they should have had that one section kind of separated where it showed all the animals as opposed to have part of the animals there, part somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so moving on to gameplay. So this is a typical bag builder. You're going to start your bag out with 10 tokens in it that are very weak, one level, and I think there's like 1 or 2 twos in there.
Yeah.
And they're going to be of the varieties. You have coin, leaves, water, and whatever.
A gourd of some sort.
Kind of food. And you're trying to basically draw the tokens in such a way that you can acquire life to put into your jungle. And life can be represented by an animal, or they have tracks where you can move up that will give you trees and water plants.
Water flowers.
Yeah. Water flowers.
And then, or just expand your area with more terrain.
Right. So you're depending on what you draw, early in the game, you're probably not going to get to move up a whole lot on different things. You can start moving up the tracks, potentially get more terrain or trees. Early on, it doesn't take a lot to do that, but as you move down the track, it's going to take more and more of the green, the leaf in particular, although the water flowers require water.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to kind of increase all that. Animals, predominantly, it's the food that you're going to
The food and the leaves for most, but food and water for some. But yeah, you really got to focus on money first so you can buy better tokens.
Yes.
Then you get the better tokens. And then, you just kind of pick and choose where you want to expound upon
Right.
as far as whether you want animals or you want cards or you want terrain or
Yeah.
so.
And later in the game, the money becomes more useless.
Almost useless.
Because, it's not good for anything but buying tokens, really. So there are some abilities you can use to pay a coin to trigger.
Yeah.
Which are, so that it's never completely useless. But basically, as you build your terrain and you place animals, there's icons on your terrain that will trigger that match the ones you could actually pay for as well. That will let you either trash tokens from your bag to get rid of that
very useful.
weak things you've got started the game with, or let you draw additional tokens. You can develop your storage capacity, because normally at the beginning of the game you can store 1 token to carry over for the next round. So when you draw
1 unused token.
Right. So if you draw 5 tokens out and you only use 4, you can keep 1, and the
Right.
next round you'll have 6. But you can raise that up as high as getting 3 tokens, so you could have potentially 9 tokens in 1 round.
Which is necessary.
I'm sorry, 8.
Which I felt was necessary just because some of the cards that came out that we'll talk about cost upwards of 10 or more water, and it's almost impossible to draw that out with just the 5.
Yeah. Unless you're Miranda and you're
just
throwing away
gets rid of
threes
everything.
just because you don't
Just
care.
want to draw 4s.
So Miranda plays. She was moneybags over here. She kept storing all the coinage and buying up everything at the high levels of the tokens. And then by the time I was trying to get 2s and 3s, she was throwing them away.
And they were almost out.
So, and then, there's also in-game scoring cards and during-game ability cards that you can buy. And those typically cost water. And those are going to be very helpful. Like, my whole game, anytime I see in-game scoring, I'm attracted to it immediately. So there was matter of fact, the first round, there was a card that gave you 2 points per in-game bonus scoring card you accumulated.
And he jumped on it.
So I just started spending all my stuff on water so I could get those in-game bonuses. Got very little bit on my jungle. But I ended up coming in second just from that. So you got a lot of ways to play this game, and they're fairly balanced. I mean, you're not going to run away with it either way.
Right.
I was going to say, most of the time, you like that end game scoring stuff because it's very, very good. And
usually he runs away with it.
Usually.
So,
you did run away with it, but Robert still, just by sheer force of will, ended up being...
That's all it was, just will.
I'm
going to win.
Yeah.
I did scanners. Little old reference for you there. Scanners. So
Is that where your head explodes?
That's right.
Okay. So, I like the fact that there's many ways to win this. It's not just one path to victory. And, Miranda, she was taking one terrain type and just focusing on building that one terrain type, and she scored a buttload of points.
And I like the fact that the animals combo well together. Like this animal, like the bird, like the macaw would score well off of trees. Well, that's cool, but then you also have the woodpecker, which also scores off of trees. And then you have another animal that says, well, if you put this in the same habitat, it scores for all the animals in the habitat. So they work really well together, which makes sense because I think that's one of the things you hear about the Amazon, that it's such a tight ecosystem that everything has to be there for it to work. And this game makes you feel that.
Now I want there to be a unique creature that's the Lorax that scores for the trees. I think this game, it has a lot to offer, especially if you're a fan of bag building, deck building type games. Or
even just nature and wildlife. I think it's got a lot to offer as well.
Yeah, and there's a ton of variety in how to play.
Sure.
And even all the things we were talking about didn't even include the expansion pack.
Right.
So, that adds even more dimension to it. So, given the variety, this is the kind of game I like, one that you can play and you feel like there's room for growth in.
And not too terribly hard where you can teach a lot of other people.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is going to be one of those games that it's so difficult that you can't teach those that are more of the light to mid.
Yeah, I would call this light to medium. I don't think it's a light game, but it's a light to medium. Yeah, so it's something that's approachable, but you probably are going to have played some other games in the realm before you jump to this. but it's not. I mean, you play Quacks of Quedlinburg. You were a fan of that. That's a very basic bag building game.
And so I was able to catch right on.
Right. So this is a good step up from that. So it's a good transition game. So yeah, I think from the fact that the enjoyment that I got from this, I'm probably going to give us an 8.5. I think that's where I'm at.
Well, I'm just a half point above like with the earlier score, so I'm a 9, and it would have been even higher if the quality of the cardboard was a little bit better. So I'm a 9 overall.
I will have to go with my dad's score. I'm an 8.5 here.
Okay.
Not like it's very far from your score.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, it's a very solid score, but I just, again, it's the feeling that I had while playing this. It just felt good playing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't experience that a whole lot with board games where you can have a lot of fun and you get that tension, but to feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, it's not just, I mean, you've got the tactile aspect of building your board in addition to the gameplay and the mechanics and thought of, okay, if I put this here, it will score not only for this, but also for these other things. And then all on top of that, I got these bonus cards that I have to consider that will, I'll get more points if I do it this way.
And the fact that it all makes sense, too. Yeah. That it's just not some random stuff going on.
Right. So it's kind of like a little bit of a puzzler in that aspect, in addition to, and you're not doing anything that's really competitive. I'd say this is almost solitaire.
I would, it kind of is. It's just the only blocking, I guess you could think of, is just you buying cards that I wanted or work, because you have the ability to wipe cards off
Alex
of it too.
Did that to me a few times.
So being able to get rid of cards that you think your opponents want to get. But I think that's the extent of it.
Yeah. It's mostly just either hate drafting, hate removal,
right,
or just the fact that naturally the animals are going to deplete. Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's what kind of triggers the end of the game is 5 of the animals being depleted.
And I'm glad that he didn't add the negative aspect, even though like poaching is a very real thing and it's something that we all should be concerned about. That's not a part of this game.
Yeah,
and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, or destruction of the trees themselves.
Right. Exactly. Or deforestation.
Yeah, it is a very positive sort of game.
I agree.
So. All right, well, that's our thoughts on Life of the Amazonia. So if you've had a chance to try it, let us know what you think down below. If you enjoyed any of the other games by them, the Wild Serengeti game, or I think they have another one that's even older that was from 2020, but I don't think it necessarily was wooden. But,
well, if no other reason, you should get it. Randy's picture is in the game. You didn't know it, but it's the Tamarin. It's a picture-perfect version.
Looks like that Tamarin in this trio right here. Let's just say that. Compared to you guys, I'm the leaf frog, or the leaf frog, So, all right. Well, make sure you come back and visit us for more of our anecdotes and commentary on these games, and criticism of my grooming habits. Apparently. Actually, monkeys are really well groomed.
Yeah, as long as you're not trying to pick bugs off of me and eating
it. I'm sure I could find a few. All right. Bye. Next time. Bye.
Bye.